gotten better.
PB'd in his last race.
Yes.
He has like a 2:17.05 or something. I can't remember exactly what it is. Oh, and they're off.
And they're off.
All right, so with Spiral Mountain, gotta talk to Bottles and tell him we don't want to learn all the moves. We already know how to do them, and go through and collect all 6 honeycombs.
And neither of their times are updated on the leaderboards. Obviously, they are pushing for better times and are too lazy to update them. And so both of them get backflip.
And SecretHumorMan with some funny jumps between these boulders, but it seemed to work for him.
So Spiral Mountain here, we have to go around collecting a bunch of honeycombs scattered around. We do a bunch of these rolls to get around, because rolling is the fastest form of movement right now. And so they're trying to cancel their rolls with some flutters, so they can start rolling as fast as possible again.
Both of them just about within a half a second of each other. And coming up is Bottles skip. So Bottles up at the top of Spiral Mountain here is going to tell you, hey, you should go in there and find your sister Tootie. And you can skip that text box if you land on the very edge of this cliff here. So they're going to try to land there. And both of them, SecretHumorMan jumped a little bit too late and ran into Bottles. So he lost about 4 seconds. Arb with a 2:04, Spiral Mountain, and SecretHumorMan with a 2:08.
So before they started this run, they did a setup for Furnace Fun moves. And what this did is allow them to, after they head through a loading zone in Grunty's lair, which will be entering Mumbo's Mountain, they will obtain all the moves that they learned on that setup file. So this will allow them to start Mumbo's Mountain with moves like Talon Trots, so they can quickly get a go on. However, there are some moves such as Eggs, Red Feathers, and Gold Feathers, which they did not learn on their setup file because they want to learn the moves in order to get extra collectibles, such as 50 eggs and 25 red feathers.
It only takes a couple of seconds to learn the moves, and 50 eggs is a lot. And you use probably about 100 throughout the run. And collecting them around just is so much of a detour. And missing eggs is also very costly if you do that.
Coming up right here, Arb's going to do something for Termite Hill, where he's going to jump off these slopes in order to climb it. You're not supposed to be able to do this, but there is a glitch called slope resets. And if you land on a slope that is unclimbable, it'll slide you off in about a second. However, if you jump off over flat ground and back onto the slope, it'll reset that timer, allowing you to climb up.
However, that's only doable in the 1.0 version of the game, and it's fixed in the 1.1 version, and also on Xbox. So Arb does Ticker's Tower pretty fast. SecretHumorMan had a bit of trouble. Coming up on Conga, Arb is going to try to get all these orange switches as fast as possible with Conga throwing them, and he doesn't beat his chest, which is good. Conga can randomly beat his chest and waste a little bit of time, but he does Conga really well there. And now he needs to learn eggs. Ooh, SecretHumorMan just barely missed the second orange switch.
And so right here, Arb is going to jump over to the right to shoot the final egg from this platform. So he can head over to the witch switch a little faster.
And okay, SecretHumorMan taking it a little safe here, making sure it doesn't fall.
He also hits Conga, very nice. It's a somewhat precise egg shot to hit him, so a lot of runners shoot multiple eggs.
So we have to make a return trip to this area because of Juju.
Juju requires the move for eggs, which we didn't learn.
And Arb falling down to the ground there, if you get a super precise backflip, you just kind of fall down to the ground with the Jiggy instead of landing in the eye. Not really much difference in speed though. And now Arb's going to try to get all of the Juju statues in one go.
Me a little tricky because the game produces a lot of lag as you shoot an egg in. Sometimes it's easy to miss, but he does it just fine.
And when you get your 5th Jinjo in this game, it spawns a Jiggy. And for some reason in Mumbo's Mountain, it flies really high up into the air. And if you jump into it while it's spawning, you can land in the water. And an interesting property of this game is if you're in water or flight, or if you take a damage, the game skips the Jiggy dance. So he's going to go for that here. And he got it. And the 10th Jiggy also has a longer dance, so it's especially important to skip that one.
And we skip that 10th dance in every level but Freezy Peak.
Arb exiting Mumbo's Mountain with a 7:30 time, which is pretty solid.
And so we can do some more slope resets to climb up outside of Mumbo's Mountain to this Jiggy up here. SecretHumorMan also gets the Jinjo. Yep.
Alright.
Very nice.
So Arb gets a talent shot into the loading zone there. One of the little tiny time savers this game has is just reducing the amount of animations everywhere that you can. Even though a half a second might not seem like a lot, if you do it everywhere, it ends up saving a lot over time. And because we have Furnace Fun moves, we already know Shock Spring. We can just open Clankers as well as TTC at the same time. Skipping having to make a return trip to this room. However, we still need to complete TTC first because we need flying for Clankers.
Arb now entering Treasure Trove Cove. This level has a bunch of hard flying sections, so it's known to cause a lot of trouble for runners because it's very early run killer and causes a lot of resets. If you mess up a flying section, it can cost like 20 to 30 seconds, or even more depending on how bad of a messed it up. Hopefully none of that happens to our runners today.
In addition, you usually end up having to collect more feathers later to make up for messing up something. And you get kind of strapped for feathers around Freeze Easy Peak and Click Clock Wood.
It's one of the main reasons why we learn feathers in the run, so we get those extra 25 feathers from learning the move. So right
making
there,
use of quick
Arb
dive. Did you
So-
want to explain it?
Well, let's see. Blubber's pretty far there. You want him to have spawn the Jiggy, so it lands on you. However, Blubber was quite a far away. You can explain quick dive when SecretHumorMan does it. Explain it better.
Alright, so SecretHumorMan's going to let go of Talontrot as he's falling off this box, and when you're leaving the Talontrot animation, the game does not apply the water physics until the end of it. So you just simply fall right through the water as if it weren't there. And neither of them get Blubber. He is in Africa.
So Arb just did the first flying section of TTC where you had to get that lone note in the alcove without landing, and then fly into the chest. And then beak bomb over to the X.
Also without landing on the chest Jiggy. Small slip up on the ladders, but not too bad. Still makes the chest cycle.
SecretHumorMan misses that note in the alcove, so he's gonna have to turn around and grab it.
Is he going to turn around? Nope,
Or
looks like
you
he's
gotta
going
get it
to...
later.
Ooh, that was really close. He'll probably just grab it later after the lighthouse. And Arb taking another damage, but he's still got 4 health, so he's okay for Nipper.
Taking a damage on that crab, as Smasher once said, that separates the good runners from the bad runners. I guess that means Arb is gonna lose this race. So here, Arb is doing the precise uses of flying. Enough feathers to get up, and beak bomb to land just enough height to grab that Jiggy on top of the lighthouse.
Now let's see how SecretHumorMan does on the flying section. Got a good height for the Jiggy.
This is one of the hardest Jiggies to get in this TTC, which is that alcove, because if you land there, it's a massive time loss. They both did it fine.
Alright,
Very
he was
nice.
a little low there, SecretHumorMan, but just manages to use the feather at the right time and skip the dance.
But here's the Nipper skip. If you activate his cutscene by falling on from him from above, you're able to jump as the cutscene ends and land inside Nipper because his hitbox is not active, allowing you to, inside of him, do some consecutive hits, killing him much faster than doing it normally.
Requires some precise timings on the damages, and you mess up, you can get low on health, and it gets a little scary with the crabs inside Nipper as well, but Arb does it just fine. And just barely misses the jump to the X here. This is a little bit faster than using the shock spring pad on the other side.
SecretHumorMan playing it safe, not doing Nipper. Quick kill.
What are you talking about? He never does Nipper. He's not playing it.
You're right. So here we're gonna hoop some eggs into Leaky from above so we can get some extra distance away from him.
Relatively precise. A lot of people have their own setup for it. However, it's not 100% consistent because egg bounces are random. They can sometimes bounce right over Leaky, but it worked out for Arb there. And this is the last flying section.
This one has a bunch of collectibles you have to collect in flight. So you have to do really precise movement to get them all. So far, so good. beak bomb up to this alcove up here for this Jiggy, and then go back down for the Jinjoji.
Okay. Grabs a note on the way up, too. Very good.
Very nice.
Grabs a couple extra feathers. Doesn't make the chest cycle. That's really hard to make, though.
SecretHumorMan starting the final flight section also. Not too far behind.
The crab making Arb have to do an extra beak bust there. Sometimes it kind of eats the ground pound and you have to do it again to hit the X. Overall, pretty good TTC for Arb. Great height for the Jiggy for SecretHumorMan. And here we'll see our first Death Warp. Arb's going to try to land, grab the Jiggy and land on this crab in order to die with the Jiggy in his hand, and the game still counts it that he grabbed it. Sometimes the crab can kind of move out of the way and troll you a little bit, but he got it just fine there.
And speaking of dying, in this game, if you die in a level, you lose all progress in terms of notes in that level.
As well as Jinjos.
And as well as Jinjos. So if you were to die, let's say with 70 notes, you'll have to recollect those 70 notes again. And then continue your run from there. So dying this game can be really costly. And so one death could be the turn of the race, putting it in the other person's favor. So this run is never really over until the end.
As we saw the other day, Dick Ascan was about 3 or 4 minutes ahead of Not Davey and had some trouble in engine room, and Davey ended up taking the lead. So really is never over until Grunty. Alright, Arb making his way into Clankers, and he also grabbed that cauldron for a quick return to open Click Clock Wood later in the run.
So right off the bat here in Clankers, Arb is gonna attempt for a jump to get up here faster. There we go. So Clankers is dictated by cycles, and so all around outside of Clanker, he moves up and down in like around 10-second cycles, and getting in and out of Clankers and doing stuff, you'll have to make these cycles. So getting as good movement as possible everywhere inside Clankers is imperative in order to make these cycles.
Additionally, there is Gloop, who is this little fish down by the key in Anvil that spits out air bubbles. And in order to do this section optimally, you need to grab 2 air bubbles. Ideally, you want to get one on the way down, but you have to be really fast for it to spawn up. And we'll see if Arb gets it here. Doesn't look like he does.
So that actually costs him a cycle there. SecretHumorMan opting to not do that jump, which will put him another cycle behind. But it is a much safer strat than trying to attempt to jump and miss. So this game is just whether or not you do safe strats or you risk it all with some risky strats in order to save a little time, which in a race could be really useful.
Alright, so Arb's got plenty of air. Needs at least 3 air bubbles. So he's just fine. He's going to grab the blue Jinjo and then go for the tooth. looks like he made this one. All right.
So coming up next is the rings mini game, where you got to jump through a bunch of rings as fast as possible. Let's see what rings time that Arb gets. You want to get a 22, so 21 and 20 are okay.
Hardest part of this being this backflip on this box. Ideally, you want to land on this ring here. And he gets it. All right, gets a 21, not bad. Oh, and SecretHumorMan ground pounds accidentally there, costing him that cycle. A way you can avoid that is to hold Z before you leave the water.
Brad here keeps telling everybody this.
So a way to prevent mistakes.
So right here, Arb is attempting a really precise jump in order to jump up and grab this pole with the notes on it, which he got. Very nice. This skips him having to climb up there from over here by this Champa, saving him cycles.
Although that's not the only part, you have to get this entire section fast. And now we're going for, he's going to go for honeycomb backflip. If you, oh, he's having some trouble with it. It might cost him the cycle. However, he does get it about his third try.
SecretHumorMan with the 20 rings, not bad.
These little saw blades here are always on the same pattern when you enter the room, so you can just walk right around them if you memorize them. Beak bombing here speeds up this section a lot with Furnace Fun moves. And because we don't have flying in the FFM setup file, we have to learn gold feathers here. You can technically complete the run without them, but it ends up saving time on the flibbits in Bubble Gloop. And I'm getting hit by that saw blade there, which was kind of surprising because normally if you just kind of run along that crease on the side of the room, on the right side, you just don't get hit at all.
Little oversight that the developers missed when programming that room.
And this level is routed so that we get the pink Jinjo underwater last here. Skipping the dance. Just one more jiggy left, and then Arb's gonna head over to the snippets, which is tricky because they kind of behave differently a little bit every time you're there. And the strategy is to poop eggs and have them kill the snippets as you move your way up to the jiggy where it spawns. So let's see how he does here. And this one a little bit far away, he might not make it. Just barely doesn't.
Loses a few seconds there, not getting that Jiggy right as it spawns. So now Arb is going to the final swim of the level. You gotta collect the last Jiggy, the last few notes in Honeycomb, all underwater in one breath. So that when you run out of breath, you'll drown back to the start of the level.
Since we get an extra honeycomb refill from this last honeycomb in this level, it's much faster to drown to death warp rather than losing all of our health normally.
SecretHumorMan coming up on the snippets. See if you'll get it.
And it looks like, yep, he just barely didn't make it either. But Arb succeeds at the swim. And he's done with clankers.
Each air bubble honeycomb is around 10 seconds. So if done optimally, you should have like 2 seconds of air while swimming and doing that in order to collect everything. So if you know what you're doing, you should easily be able to collect everything.
There is an alternate way you can do it. You can go for the honeycomb first and then go for the Jiggy last, so you don't have to swim back through that tunnel. It actually gives you a couple more seconds for error. Arb opening up Bubble Gloop Swamp. A level that is largely routed around these croctuses that you have to shoot eggs into. And you have to shoot them in order, so unfortunately it makes routing the level pretty difficult. Can't really change too much. And then because of the amount of notes in the swamp, it's also routed around health management. So ideally, the next time Arb will refill his health will be after killing all the Flibbits. But first, he's going to open up Freeze Easy Peak. A little bit faster to open it up before you enter Bubble Gloop.
Jumping across the top of the water is actually slightly faster than swimming underwater, as I'll have our task man, Hyper explain to you the details, since he is the one who tasked the 100% task for this game and knows the technical details. So if you have any questions, be sure to ask in chat.
So it is faster to flutter over the surface of the water. However, you have to pretty much do it optimally for it to save time, and in order to do this, you have to flutter not too early, because then you just kind of splash right back into the water, but also not too late so that you don't spend more time just slowly jumping upwards. And so doing optimal flutters is a little bit more tricky than just simply swimming. So right there, it is usually easier to just go for the swimming. However, later on in the run, when you hit a certain water switch, it's faster to just flutter over the water because you're already on the surface rather than diving and then swimming. And Arb making use of a new route change that was kind of discovered recently. Oh, he took an extra damage there.
He should be fine. He refilled
should be
before the
okay.
level, taking it safe because he didn't want to die. Usually with this
He's
new
okay.
routes, you'd skip refilling health before the level, and you would be at 1 health at this point, but because it's a race, he took it safe. SecretHumorMan refilling some health since he took extra damage in the layer here. So these yellow crocodiles are the crocodiles we talked about, that you have to shoot eggs into it. And once you shoot into one, the next one spawns.
Kind of forces you to do the level in a certain order for the most part. And Arb getting an 18 on the switch jiggy here, which is really good. Gold feathers save a lot of time with these flibbits. Your normal attacks always do 1 damage to them and they have 2 health. So it's better to just use gold feathers, and then the health that they spawn from dying is useful later on to refill before going through the long segment of maze. Well, it's not really a maze, but long segment of swamp with notes.
So Arb here doing some precise jumps off the top of these huts in order to skip breaking them open.
However, it's extremely difficult to do it on the one that he did skip, so no runners do that.
So right here, he's going to shoot an egg into that Crocus and then hit the witch switch, which will then overlap the cutscene of the witch switch in the Crocus, saving a few seconds. And it'll also create a sound effect bug where the sound effect will not turn off until he shoots an egg into the next Crocus.
Arb with another extra damage taken, unfortunately, but I think he should still be okay. Coming up on this next Crocus is a dragonfly nearby, which sometimes can get in your way, and sometimes it can actually help you. If he hits you during the cutscene, it'll actually free Banjo to move. So let's see what happens here. Looks like he's kind of far out of the way, and he got stuck. SecretHumorMan destroying the huts.
So actually, me and Brad here were the ones who mainly routed 100% this current route that they're doing here after the big FFM change. And we both spent quite a bit of time changing how the levels worked. Some levels, like Bubble Cube Swamp, are just dictated by these things like the Croctuses, so we have to do it in a certain order. And then other levels, such as like Mad Monster Mansion and Gobi's Valley, have less that dictate them, and you can so many different ways to route them, so we had to just time so many different things.
And SecretHumorMan unfortunately missed the Witch Switch cutscene skip. And Arb making use of the property that I was talking about earlier where you can move during the cutscene, but looks like he just missed it. And now he'll be entering the first tip-top pattern. Uh-oh. He pulled a me. He messed up, and I think he wasn't looking at the pattern.
FFM is Furnace Fun Moves. It is a glitch that allows the runners to start with moves that they learned on another file. There is a paste spin that goes more in depth if you want to read about it.
I don't have that on hand, by the way.
It should be a
Is it in
command.
the Discord?
I don't know why it didn't come up when did it.
So these turtles are random, so you have to memorize the pattern every run. Oh, and this dragonfly kind of got in the way, but it's still sort of worked out for Secret.
It's not very relevant. He would optimally want to have some more health, because having this 6 health will allow him to save a few seconds in the maze. However, it's not necessary. You'll just take the boots and the slight time loss.
So Secret not going for the damage or the bounce off strat. However, he did catch up a little bit because Arb messed up the pattern. Not too much interesting stuff left in this level. Just going through this area, there's a little skinny path to a timer switch jiggy, and then transforming into the Croctus for the Vial minigame, which is a 3-minute long auto-scroller, as long as you win.
Very fun and exciting.
For those of you who want to see who is still in the tournament, the bracket's been posted in the chat.
So, Arb is at the optimal health that he wants to be at right now, because there is another death warp at the end of this level, so you want to be down to 1 health. So, in this game, Mumbo can transform you into different things. In this case, this level is a crocodile. However, Mumbo has a chance of transforming you into a washing machine or a T-Rex. And that will cost you some time. It's completely random.
He doesn't actually transform you into the T-Rex, but he says, "Oops, the spell didn't work." And he meant to do T-Rex, but that's saved for the next game. And SecretHumorMan does have the 6 health here, so he can go for the strat in the swamp here where he takes more damage. And since there's some downtime in this Vial minigame, Arb's going to try to get as many collectibles as possible to help him out with resource management and not having to detour for the Mumbo token and the notes at the end of the minigame. And it makes it a lot easier because we have turbo trainers with Furnace Fun moves.
So the goal of Vial is just to collect these things. And in later rounds, there'll be Grumblies, which are yellow. Don't want to collect those unless it's the final round and the game tells you to collect them. It's pretty advanced and hard to understand, but our runners somehow get it.
Generally, the strategy is to go for the where Vial's going, because Vial always knows where the Yumblies and Grumblies are. So he can kind of lead you to where you want to be.
And also, because we did Furnace Fun moves, the speed shoes in the back are unlocked, so making this even easier to beat.
You can still lose though.
You can still lose if you don't know what you're doing or get extremely, extremely unlucky with the spawns.
Arb got 35 Yumblies that round, so that's enough actually for an extra life. Not that that's actually useful.
You never know, Arb could just die, like, quite a few times, eating those extra lives. That could have just saved his race.
And the game will always change the goal here every 10 seconds to go for Yumbly or Grumbly, so he'll know when to start going for the other color, and he accidentally grabs the wrong one, but looks like he's still okay. He wants Vile to be as close to the front of the room as possible here, which he gets kind of close to. However, he's probably going to get an extra text box here. Yep. If you're not like right in front of Vile at the very end of the game, he gives you an extra text box for some reason. And Arb heading over to get the last few notes and Purple Jinjo.
So Arb about to just finish up Bubble Goop Swamp, collect these last few collectibles, perform a Death Warp on the Buzz Bomb. Getting yet another extra life right there. Playing it really safe in this race.
Sometimes that Dragonfly can be kind of in a bad spot, lose you a little bit of time. SecretHumorMan getting like very few spawns here for Yumblies. And Vile is the first instance of rubber banding in this game, which means that when you're ahead of Vile, he speeds up, but when Vile is ahead of you, he slows down. So the more you're ahead of him, he's gonna just start to catch up. Normally you have to fall down from the Gobi's Valley lobby through the urn in the middle of the room.
To
earn. However, oh, and he gets hit there. That Gruntling likes to hang out right in front of that
He's gonna
platform, and he likes
kill
to,
it there because you want to be at full health before you enter Gobi's Valley. Which is the next level that we will be unlocking and going to in this run.
But as we saw, Arb was able to use a clever use to the shock spring pad in order to skip having to fall down that urn right there in the middle of the room. And a major time save of Furnace Fun moves is already having Beak Bomb, so that we don't need to make a second trip to Freezeezy Peak. Normally, right now, we would go to Freezeezy Peak just to learn that move for Gobi's Valley, but we don't need to do that here.
The game is designed so that you need a move in Gobi's Valley to finish Freezeezy Peak, and you need a move from Freezeezy Peak to finish Gobi's Valley. So Furnace Fun eliminates a second trip. And yes, Hag, it is true that skipping the Grunny switch in Gobi's Valley is only a 1 second time save. So if you miss that shock spring pad cycle at all. You're actually losing time doing it casually.
Reason for that is you don't have to actually open the little brick wall and hit the shock spring pad switch. You can just simply backflip to the jiggy, but requires really good movement in the maze in Gobi's Valley, and nobody goes for it and runs. Turbo trainers at the beginning here, speeding up this section a little bit. And these rings have an interesting property here. They're called Ancient Ones. They will not actually rise out of the ground until they're on camera view. So you can use camera manipulation to get onto them as they're rising without flying through them, as well as using the turbo trainers for an extra speed boost to simply jump onto it.
So every time you go through a loading zone, they will reset to that default position, which is the first one he jumped through. So they'll be jumping through that one multiple times in this run.
And now Arb going for what we call Gobi Clip with a beak barge at this specific angle here. And if he's lucky, he'll clip right through. And he got it.
Nice.
Skipping having to shoot eggs into Jinxie's nose. Really precise trick, and it's kind of inconsistent.
A lot of runners don't go for it because it's inconsistent, and you lose a lot of health if you get it on a later try. And in this level, you want to have as much health as possible, because it's so easy to lose it all over the level, and you need about 4 health for the ending.
No, you need 7.
Or Stiv actually impressively did it with 3 health last night. I was surprised that he was going for that in a race.
Well, I think his logic behind it now is if he messes up, he knows when he'll mess up, and he can just simply gold feather if he needs to. And so Arb making use of the camera manipulation here to get that ring. And the next area that they spawn is RNG. So sometimes they can spawn in good spots, and it saves a little bit of time from not having to detour for that default position again. But Arb did not get any good RNG here. And I believe SecretHumorMan does not go for Gobi Clip, so we won't be seeing him do that.
So you get to see the intended way to enter Jinxie. He's gonna grab this extra token while he's here, because he can.
Now you can actually, with really precise egg poops, you can poop them into the nose from on top of it. But most people don't go for that because it just is really finicky, doesn't really work half the time. This puzzle is the same every time, so you just have to memorize it.
Eggs and feathers, we skip learning them because we want to be able to learn them in the run, because Bottles gives us the collectibles, gives us 50 eggs when we learn the move and 25 feathers, which is, we need those feathers through the run, eggs. If we skip them, we would have to collect a whole lot more, wasting a bunch of time.
Kind of makes the beginning of the run a little bit tricky too, because of the eggs you need for Juju and Kanga, and then all the feathers that you would need for the flying sections in TTC. So Arb's now going to try to jump off as he's shooting these eggs into the Sphinx, probably, and he got it. Saves like a couple seconds from having to do it after the cutscene. And then he's gonna fly through one of the rings.
SecretHumorMan doesn't get any lucky rings either.
Now, normally you need to use the turbo trainers to get this grab-a-jiggy, but the fastest method to do it is to actually beak bomb it. And Arb gets it just fine right there. And he's going to go for this target. And if he's a little bit too close, if he's far enough away at the right distance, you can actually hit it with the very end of your beak bomb, which makes you not bounce off. And then you can ground pound out of it, and then you fall immediately down to the ground. Good egg poops into the ruby, a little cup there. SecretHumorMan doing a little bit of a different pattern to complete this memory puzzle than Arb did. For the most part, it's not really a big difference. Still gets a 68. The best that anybody can get is a 69 on that puzzle. And Arb misses one of the eggs, and then Sphinx kind of just hung out there for a second.
Now Arb is
Arb's
going to
go
beak
for
bomb.
this. Yeah, this cactus is tricky. Got it.
Gonna then beak bomb this rock to free Gobi.
Ooh, that's at a weird spot. Probably not gonna get it. Oh, he decides to just land. Okay.
So ultimately you want to break that rock, and then you'll be in a position where the cutscene will end, and then you'll fly and pick up the Jiggy. So then you can fly over to these shoes over here and skip taking the damage that Arb just had to take.
You know what I've just thought about that I've never tested is ground pounding from a high height onto the turbo trainer.
Well, SecretHumorMan gets that activation, but I don't think he was ready for it and didn't ground pound.
Now this level is routed in such a way that we make use of those moat flight pads, because after Arb gets this Jiggy here, the moat fills up and you can no longer use those flight pads. So the only one available after this is the one on top of Jinxie's back.
So doing some more camera manipulation so we can get this last ring right here.
And that'll spawn the Jiggy. Old routes had that all the rings done in one giant flying section and then landing on that Jiggy. However, it's faster to just kind of do it piece by piece throughout the level. Let's see how SecretHumorMan does with the cactus here. And he gets it just fine.
Arb here about to do the maze pyramid, but you can just jump up onto that wall and get on top of the maze and jump across it.
And he gets a 54, which is the best time that you can get, which is really, really good.
Very nice maze from Arb here.
Looks like he's on pace to get like about a mid 56 Gobies, which is pretty good for a race.
Pretty good considering he lost like around 40 seconds in Bubble Goop Swamp for messing up all those turtles.
Once again, the level's routed so that we got the Jinjo Jiggy and we're able to skip it, skip the dance.
You have to go all the way back to the start of the level because Gobi comes back here. And as I was saying earlier, Barb needs to grab some health because you need 4 health to finish off this level. Little time lost there.
Overall, really a pretty decent Gobi's Valley. No major mistakes from Arb. Just took a few extra tries at Gobi Clip, which I think was the main reason he needed to get some extra health there.
So with those speed shoes, we were able to skip the final dance cutscene on the last Jiggy. Now all we need to do is collect these last few notes and emote around Grabba, and Gobi's Valley is finished.
And SecretHumorMan heading through the maze. It's 53. Takes a slight detour to the left.
And a slightly safer jumping pattern.
Right, and Arb looks like he's gonna make this cycle just fine on the
SecretHumorMan
pad.
takes some weird fall damage there. He did some frame perfect jumps.
Oh yeah.
Causing him to get some fall damage because the game thought he fell farther than he actually did.
Yeah, so an interesting thing is if you jump frame perfectly, the game does not actually update your Y coordinate from the original height that you fell from. So if you jump, say you're in Mumbo's Mountain and you're at the Juju Hut area, and you jump frame perfectly down the hill, at one point you'll actually start taking fall damage even though you touch the ground.
So Arb here doing a long swimming section in order to go to the Mad Monster Mansion puzzle to open it. Speaking of this swim, SecretHumorMan has put a bounty on finding Mad Monster Mansion early. So if you want to go discover new tricks in this game, go discover that trick and you can make some big money. We're always looking for some more glitch hunters in this game. Arb here, it actually uses a damage boost to get up a extra step there by using the fish to hit him upwards.
Yep, that saves a little bit of time despite the extra damage taken. Arb with a nice quick dive. And SecretHumorMan just finishes up Gobi's Valley. And he's actually ahead of his PB now with that Gobi's Valley. So good for him, he saved a bunch of time there. Now Arb's gonna break this web here and activate this cauldron. This will be used later on in the run to warp back up to this area.
SecretHumorMan actually got the sarcophagus Jiggy earlier on, so he didn't need to get it when he left.
Oh yeah, that sarcophagus Jiggy you can get at 2 different points, or well 3 I guess, but it's slightly faster to get it after Gobi's.
Damn, that was a great Gobi's from SecretHumorMan there. He just said he golded by 25 seconds.
Wow. Alright, so Arb heading into Mad Monster Mansion. Getting those 4 notes at the start there rather than just 2 of them, because we're actually gonna do a death warp later on as the pumpkin inside the well. For the longest time, it was thought to be slower to do so, but
a certain Let's Player showed us the lights, and we rerouted it that the pumpkin is actually 17 seconds faster to use to get the stuff from the well.
Arb with a really quick seller there. Using gold feathers to save a little bit of time breaking those barrels. Takes some extra damage there, but not too bad. Actually, I think that might have been 2 damage, because he got hit by the biting animation of the chomp enemy.
So, you can see SecretHumorMan there. He opened the purple cauldron there, because we're going to be using it to warp back to this area later.
I said that already.
No, you didn't.
Now, Arb will probably be going for what we like to call napper skip. If you land on the very edge of this flight pad, you can potentially skip this jiggy dance. Ooh, and he just barely doesn't get it. He almost got it. If he had turned towards the jiggy, he would have gotten it. Because the game thinks you're in flight even as you're taking off from the flight pad.
Wow, is that the Mohill 93, the leader of the Banjo Trolls? This guy is a legend. This guy has the shirt and tie world record for this game.
Alright, Arb going for what we like to call honeycomb jump. And does get that pot with kind of a weird angle there, but manages to get it. And going through the graveyard here. Ideally, you want to avoid these gravestones, but he could use the extra health after taking some extra damage.
However, he doesn't want too much health, since we will be doing a death warp at the end of this level.
Now here's another mini-game, Tumblar, where we have to spell Banjo-Kazooie, but you have to stand on this little ice crystal and move around with really, really strange movement while this purple ghost circles around the room on a cycle.
The developers really seem to think that this puzzle of spelling out Banjo-Kazooie was really hard, and they used it multiple times.
Oh, just barely dodges there. Arb does a pretty good job at it. SecretHumorMan making his way through the maze. He'll also be going for the honey hive backflip. Gets hit by that ghost there. But he's still at 5 health, so he's pretty good. And Arb will be going for Jinjo skips similar to what we saw in Mumbo's Mountain. However, this one's a bit harder because the Jiggy does not spawn so high up in the air.
And he gets it.
And he does get the Mumbo token too. If you land at the right spot, you can get that Mumbo token under the whip crack without destroying it, eliminating having to get another Mumbo token elsewhere. So nice, nice courtyard section from Arb. Heading into the church. The ghosts can get in your way really easily here. And you need gold feathers to kill them. But Arb has plenty. And then he'll have to play along with Motsand on the piano. However, you don't actually need to wait for Motsand to play. You can just enter it in as fast as you can.
The same pattern every time.
Almost got hit twice by that purple ghost, but he's okay. Secret might need to grab an extra health if he gets hit somewhere else.
Come on, chat, be serious. Answer the question serious. Reverse B Adventure, or RBA, is a glitch that lets you get the B out of the Clockwood lobby and take it to other levels. And it is used in any percent.
Are having a bit of trouble on the organ, and he almost fell there. That was really close. Getting that Jiggy in flight to skip the dance. And without seeing where he was, he still hit the witch switch. And Secret did miss the Jinjo skip, unfortunately. So he will have to get an extra token later because he missed the one in the whip crack. However, I don't think he plans for that one with his route.
He's got plenty of extras so far.
Yeah. Arb's at 2 health, and this ghost is gonna troll him a little bit.
Oh.
Okay, he's okay. So
Gotta
Arb
be sure
is
to
gonna
not
have
get
to-
hit anywhere. He's down to 1 health. This could be pretty scary. Accidentally sliding off the roof here will instantly kill him.
Ooh. So he's just fine. He might grab an extra health. Well, I don't think he really can at this point. He's gonna have to just play it safe in the well. No washing machine, no T-Rex.
Now pick up this Jiggy that spawns since transformations don't get Jiggy dances.
Arb will also have to play it safe in the Lago window here if he goes for the sync token with the skeleton in the room. And taking a little bit of extra path around so he doesn't get hit.
So an interesting thing is there's a Mumbo token in the toilet there. and it has the same memory address as the Mumbo token in the cellar. So if you collect one, it will collect both of them. And you can only collect one of them on your file.
Oof.
And so Arb collected it in the cellar, and I think SecretHumorMan is going to collect it in the toilet.
Yep. SecretHumorMan doing a glitch that hasn't been shown off in the run yet, called Beak Buster and Vulnerability, when you actually beak bust on the ground and then fall a really long distance, you don't take any damage. However, if you land on something, it applies that fall damage anyways. So he was really close to landing on that ghost, but just manages to dodge it.
So Arb doing some precise movement here so he doesn't die.
Wow, he took that really fast.
That was
a
very...
really fast well with 1 health too.
He was going balls out there. So now Arb now done with Mad Monster Mansion.
Right now, after this cutscene here with the water switch, the game actually autosaves, and instead of walking back through the lair, transforming back and walking back through the lair, and then transforming again, it's actually faster to just reset your console, because when you load up your file, you appear at the start of the lair, and you can grab the Clanker's Witch Switch Jiggy and then use the cauldron nearby to warp back to where Freezeezy Peak is, which is the next level we're going to.
Wow, Brad, I can't believe you explained it before it happened. You spoiled the joke. Wanted to say that he reset because he hated the run.
Sorry.
Did Humorman taking some damage and getting some extra gold feathers there?
Don't worry, I'll make sure to meme it up at SGDQ for that.
Well, meme so hard that they're gonna reset the timer, thinking that the run's over and that he rage quit.
Div really needs to play it up like he's super disappointed in himself.
Start hitting himself in the head like he always does.
Alright, SecretHumorMan about to finish the well here. Losing a little time to his PB, but he's still pretty close. Arb's starting the Twinkly minigame, and if you kill the first one of these green guys here, the other two don't spawn if you move off camera fast enough, and you can just wait here and hang out for a little break. For about 30 seconds.
For a little bathroom break. About the only break that you get in this game. This game's just like constant movement the entire time.
Whereas if you play a better game like Banjo-Tooie, you have breaks in the run. Let's see if he goes for the Hyper Resonance. He does, and he gets it.
Very nice.
And he's gonna go for YOLO Star here. Ooh, and he gets it. He was a little bit low when he jumped off of that star, but he got 2 quick jumps through the star and then fluttered right on through and a ground pound for the 3rd one.
SecretHumorMan also hates his run and reset. Now making his way to Freezy's also. So right there, you can actually grab things through walls if you extend your hitbox in a way. Doing a beak bomb will extend your hitbox forward, allowing you to grab stuff through some walls, such as that pipe.
And Arb makes sure not to ground pound on the sled itself, because for some reason when you do so, and you slide down the scarf, you just pass right through the Mumbo token. And we want that token.
Yeah, Brad. It was a good thing you weren't commentating yesterday, because Stiv did quick climbs on every chance he could.
I would have been so triggered. So Arb with a really nice start to Freeze Easy Peak here. Coming up on a section where he has to beak bomb all of these snowmen. And they can make him recoil kind of a little bit different every time, so it requires some adaptation. Alright, one more. Nice. Good beak bombs on the snowman.
Now he wants to beak bomb directly into the loading zone. Doesn't quite get it.
And him being at 1 feather here is just fine, because he's going to get a ton of them on the scarf. And SecretHumorMan with an interesting setup for the tree star, but manages to get it just fine.
Now, next transformation is the Walrus. We're going to be using the Walrus to do the first Boggy race coming up here. SecretHumorMan playing it safe, beak bombing next to the star, because he doesn't want to risk it by doing YOLO Star.
Oh, he should go for that beak bust, though.
This is SecretHumorMan we're talking about. The king of the baby strats.
So, Arb, I think, is going to go for right leg here. Going to go for all these notes and the jiggy in the center. The notes are on the right leg, which saves you from having to detour later on as Banjo to get them. And he makes it. Little bit precise, but it's definitely doable. Boggy also has similar properties to Vile in that he rubber bands. If you're way ahead of him, he catches up like crazy, but if you're way behind him, he slows down. And it's dependent on how many flags ahead of or behind you are. So if you are like 3 or more flags behind, 3 and a little bit, then you lose. Or if he reaches the end before you. Getting as much as possible during the race is crucial, so you don't have to take giant detours to areas of the level that really don't require you to do anything in, besides collect a few things, and you already pass through them during the race. So Arb does a good job at collecting as much as he can.
Gets a
There's
nice
the
push
walrus.
there by Boggy at the end, so he's closer to the Jiggy.
And SecretHumorMan really making sure he has enough feathers here. I was gonna play it safe on that first snowman a little bit. One more. And he's good.
Ooh. Mrs. Mumbo's hut also beak bone.
Now Arb's just gotta climb the snowman, get a few more things, and then he'll have to detour over to Boggy's igloo to turn in the presents for a Jiggy. Unfortunately, when you die in this game, you do not keep your presents with you in this level. So you can't just simply collect the presents, death warp, and then turn them in for the final Jiggy and then leave. You have to take that detour. And the fastest way to get over there is to just beak bomb from the top of the snowman. Since at that point, pretty much everything else in the level is done. SecretHumorMan starting the first race. Most likely not going to go for the right leg strat.
Oh no,
he's
he
going
is.
for partial right leg. I'm not sure what that was because he missed a note, so we'll see what he does later. And that's funny, Arb got kind of in the middle of that ice cube there. And now Arb wants to be at 5 health for this upcoming section, as there will be a death warp at the end, and he'll be taking 4 damage in Waz's cave. SecretHumorMan skipping that token in favor of one of the other ones he got earlier in the run. Wants to make sure he doesn't lose any races.
So Arb here starting the second Boggy race. The speed shoes. Boggy goes a whole lot faster in this race. So if you get him going rubber banding, you'll start flying ahead. You gotta make sure that you are in the correct position towards the end of the race or you will lose.
Yeah, if you just try to complete the race as fast as you can. Oh, he misses a note, but I think he's okay. I think he's okay, because Boggy's going to slow down a little bit. Thankfully, with the rubber banding, Boggy slows down, gives him a chance to catch back up. Arb just has to get this one note on the present, and he goes for it. Ooh, close.
This is gonna be close. Boggy's going fast.
And he made it, just barely at the end.
With a
there.
huge
Good
push
job.
by Boggy at the end there. That can be really tense, doing Boggy race like that.
But he does it just fine. And now he's going to get this Jinjo for the final Jiggy dance. Unfortunately, in this level, there's just really no way you can route it so that you skip this dance.
So everybody can now enjoy this jiggy dance in its full 8 seconds of glory.
Which means that the runners have been doing pretty good otherwise, because we haven't seen that yet.
So if you fall into this water that hurts you in Talon Trot, you just it puts you straight down, allowing you to get into this tunnel as Banjo. Usually you're supposed to be the walrus to get this, but because of this, we can get in here to this honeycomb and death warp out. Now, Freezy Z Peak is done.
And Arb saved a little bit of time on his PB in that level. Oh.
Ooh. Doesn't quite make it over.
Ooh, this is
Gonna take some more fall damage here.
Okay.
Wasn't too bad. He managed to survive. Looks like he's going to the flight pad instead of just going straight to the igloo.
I guess he wanted that token too. I don't know. Maybe just kind of. Interesting.
I don't know. Sometimes you get lost when something happens in a run, especially a race.
And with
you
all
start
that,
to panic.
we kind of missed the flying section there with Arb. So both the Mad Monster and Freezy Z Peak Witch Switch Jiggies are collected in that flying section, both of which you want to get without losing flight, and Arb did that just fine. And he's heading to open up Rusty Bucket Bay now. And he also needs to hit this extra water switch to raise the water in that big room with the 640 note door, and to actually reach the Rusty Bucket Bay puzzle.
SecretHumorMan opting to get all of the notes around the leg before the race. Hopefully this doesn't cost him, causing Boggy to speed up even faster since he isn't slowing him down with the rubber banding.
I'm surprised he didn't just get that Jinjo when he was over there.
He got everything else. Arb now entering Rusty Bucket Bay. So for the route of this level, we're gonna get a few notes, then gonna enter straight into Engine Room, one of the biggest run killers that is very easy to die.
Ooh,
and there's a bunch of precise platforming.
SecretHumorMan went for that token and he got it. I thought Boggy was gonna catch up, but he was okay.
Alright, Arb now entering Engine Room. Hope that he doesn't die.
Oh, that gruntling was really in the way there.
We need to hit these fan buttons on both sides in order to turn off these propellers. So he's gonna line up his camera and jump through these fan blades with his invincibility frames. And hopefully if it works out, you'll jump straight through like that. Gonna have to do it again here.
Sometimes if you get hit at a weird angle, you can kind of get knocked in a bad direction and die, but Arb does it just fine there.
and he manages to safely get through engine room.
And he gets the glass clip pretty fast.
The seams don't really line up there, so if you just rub your face against the wall along that seam, Banjo will just clip through.
SecretHumorMan opting to get the freeze easy peak witch switch Jiggy first. A little bit slower,
Doesn't
but a
want to
little bit
land.
safer. Landing on the Mad Monster Eye Jiggy is really costly. That's always scary when I see him do that beak bomb, because it's just like I never see anyone else do it. But he does it just fine, and he's going to go for the loading zone here. Oh, just a little bit too low. Unfortunately, in this game, if you're tumbling like that, you don't enter loading zones. In Banjo-Tooie, however,
The superior
will
Banjo
just go
game.
right. Yeah, the superior Banjo game. You just go right into the loading zone. Arb trying to make some use of slope glitch here to not fall into the water as early. Arb heading into the boss boombox. He's going to shoot some eggs and try to go for a damage cancel here. Doesn't get it.
If you shoot eggs into boss boombox before you activate his cutscene, the Jiggy won't despawn, and so you can grab it without fighting him.
Alright, let's see how SecretHumorMan does at tackling the engine room. As Arb heads into the blue boxes. Gets hit by that chomp there. Taking 2 damage, unfortunately. They do 2 damage in their biting animation.
And this is a room just full of those chumps. Very easy to mess up your platforming and get hit by them. Ooh,
Misses a note.
Misses the note. SecretHumorMan entering engine room. Let's see how his engine room goes.
Alright, Arb made it through just fine. Now here, Arb has the option of climbing the ladder or doing lifeboat jump to get back over to the main boat. And looks like he's going to go for lifeboat jump. Got it. Good job.
Very nice. SecretHumorMan makes it through engine room.
And doing lifeboat jump allows you to very easily make it into the kitchen before that cutscene of the box lowering again.
SecretHumorMan trying to get this window clip. Eventually got it.
Arb playing it a little bit safe in this room, doesn't want to die. Gets a little bit laggy up here on these chimney stacks, so Arb is going to zoom in his camera to reduce the lag a bit. And after this, he'll enter in the code on the side of the ship for a jiggy. And SecretHumorMan makes it out of the water just fine. Should be noted that the water in this level is oily and it depletes your air at double the speed. So it can be risky to go in the water for a while, you can drown. Arb successfully dodging these sailors here. Sometimes if you get cornered by these sailors and you get hit, the game can actually crash. It's happened to a few people.
Not a fun thing when that happens in a run. So you can just skip all the platforming in this room if you just hold down left, flutter over right as you enter.
And see if he goes for a damage boost on this chomp here.
No.
Nope, decides to backflip. And coming up is Anchor Room. Lots of chomps and sailors in here, can be a little bit dangerous. Especially if you want to go quickly.
And they like to run in circles around the room, so I think you saw them in one corner, they're probably in the next corner, like that.
Yep. Now he's at 2 health, so he really doesn't want to be at 2 health when he's passing by these chomps again. So he's grabbing an extra just in case.
Don't worry guys, Snorkel the Dolphin is okay, even though that anchor just chopped right through him.
Arb successfully makes it through Anchor Room as SecretHumorMan enters the 3rd blue box with also all the chompas. I think he's gonna play it a little bit safe in here probably and kill them. Oh, now Arb gets hit by Snacker there, but it doesn't really mess him up too much, and he gets the Jinjo skip. Good job. So now he is a little bit low on air, so he's going to have to surface immediately when he gets in this room. And this is the last room in the level, and then Arb will be setting up for a death warp. So Arb finishing with a low 139 Rusty Bucket Bay. Anything sub 140 is pretty solid. And now Arb having to make the trek to the Click-Clock-Wood lobby area to spawn the Jiggy Podium in order to open the level. Split Clockwood's the longest level in the game. A death in one of the later seasons is extremely costly and could completely turn around this race.
So what Arb did right there is he jumped in a precise spot in order to get pushed up on top of the leave, skipping, having to go over, do multiple, go the long way arounds.
And coming up here, Arb is probably going to talk to Bruntilda.
So something to explain is, in Furnace Fun, there is a set of questions which are called Grunny questions that are random per file. And there is 255 patterns that these questions could possibly be in. And so the runners want to get an idea of what pattern their file has, so they know what to answer for these questions. So we have a calculator that if you plug in some of the questions and answers into it, it'll start narrowing down your pattern. So the runners have a better idea and can do better guesses for the questions. And so talking to Brentilda right there allowed him to get 3 correct answers. And so hopefully that narrowed down his possible patterns that it could be from 255 to around 8. And that will greatly help him in Furnace Fun.
Additionally, there are faster Brentildas to talk to. However, this one tends to reduce the amount of possible patterns the most on average. So that's generally why most runners talk to that particular Brentilda.
And also,
there are several throughout the lair.
Ooh, SecretHumorMan taking some damage on those Champas.
1 health. Gotta be really careful about Snacker here. Alright, doesn't get the Jinjo skip, but now, even if he dies accidentally, he's got all the jiggies, he's got all the notes.
Arb here climbing his way up the tree in spring. You gotta climb up this tree in all 4 seasons. Easy way to just lose time by falling off, miss the jump somewhere.
Gotta hit each respective switch to open the seasons and break the egg here to start the Irie puzzle, which is the longest jiggy in the game. And despite landing on the sailor, SecretHumorMan gets the death port. Also saved some time on his PB in Rusty Bucket Bay.
So Arb here is going to be clipping out of bounds on this wall by getting stuck, building downward momentum, resulting in a clip and a void out. Now, a void out is different than a death in that if you void out of the level, it'll put you back at the start, and you do not lose your progress with your notes. So we're going to use that to our advantage in a few of these seasons that put us back in the center there rather than exiting the season normally.
Yep, and we're going to see a different route from Arb and SecretHumorMan here in Click Clock Wood. Arb opting to do the spring clip there and collect the remaining notes in spring on the way back over to the flower. Gold Feathers making easy work of these Zubbas. And he's got 6. He's plenty good for the Snare Bears and fall.
But now we get to beat up Gobi some more by hitting him again, Pluck Wood.
Fortunately, he took fall damage there, so it didn't count, although he did have a good ground pound, a little bit too high. And SecretHumorMan talking to Brentilda as well. Wonderwing there, making quick work of that rock. Otherwise, you can beak barge it or ground pound it, which is a little bit slower. But he had an extra there to use. And with Irie and Summer, Arb has to collect 5 of these caterpillars, and then 10 more for Irie and Fall.
Gonna do some platforming up these leaves on the right side here in order to get to this Jiggy. Fastest way to scale the tree from going this direction. Summer.
Arb deciding to kill that Clucker there. Gets the cutscene. Wants to play it safe. And he'll be going for Treehouse Jump, which is a little bit of a risky jump, but very doable. Makes it back just fine. Doing some good camera manipulation there so the camera doesn't flip on him. And he gets hit by the...
He gets hit by the Summer Arb. Little Robin Hood guys are named after our boy Arbliterator.
Arb's got a skip named after him and an enemy.
It's pretty famous.
Arb is also the world record holder in Conqueror's Bad Fur Day.
Not anymore.
He's not. Who beat him?
The Darkness? Yeah, I think it was In the Darkness. You didn't know.
Oh.
And then I took his Elmo world record, and so now he has no world records left.
That means he just needs to get the Banjo world record.
Easy.
Speaking of world records, the winner of this race will play against the world record holder Stivity Bobo in the semifinals round. SecretHumorMan leaving spring normally rather than clipping out, getting these notes along the way that Arb will be recollecting later.
Spring 2.
Something to note about the seasons as they go along is the cluckers get bigger, so it makes it a lot harder to go around them for the notes or pass underneath them. In fall, it's just about impossible without really precise movements. And Arb deciding to get the Naughty Jiggy in fall. You can get it in winter, save a little bit of time, but it is harder. And because of a trick that we will explain later, Arb does not need to actually hit Gobi here.
That SecretHumorMan's gonna beat up Gobi anyways. He likes to be slower.
Almost gets hit by the fall Arb there, but dodges him.
So coming up here, we're gonna have to collect some acorns with some really terrible hitboxes. Really small.
You really have to pass through the center. You can kind of pass through them and not collect them if you're not precise enough. Getting a little bit too close to Nabnut there. And you can jump right across, but Arb decides not to. These guys are really just getting in his way everywhere he goes. Skipping the backflip there with a nice jump onto the shelf with the notes. And Arb is almost done with fall. He's just got to turn in these acorns and then pass over to the winter switch and turn in the worms.
So Arp here is trying to manipulate his camera to get into a good spot. However, camera went a little too far, and so he's lagging on throwing these worms into Eerie.
Yeah, ideally you want to face out outwards away from the level, the bulk of the level, in order to reduce some lag. But fall in general, as well as winter, are pretty laggy just because of the particle effect of the leaves and the snow.
Arb now done with fall and is heading to winter, which is the season full of flying sections.
Winter has some tricky movement and a couple of clips at the end that involve beak bombs. And you really need a lot of feathers here, and if you run out, there's really no place to get any besides going into Mumbo's hut. So he has to be pretty careful.
Got 46, which is enough.
Yeah, he's got plenty of feathers.
SecretHumorMan beating up Gobi for the last time. He's gonna go run off to Banjo-Tooie, the better Banjo game.
Off to the lava world. And Secret will have to detour later to pick up that flower Jiggy.
Now, finally, we get to talk to Eerie and Winter and get that long-deserved Jiggy.
And now Arb is going to try to grab it and not land here, and then fly up to the very top. Grabs it just fine.
So now he's gonna jump down and open up this window so he can enter that one room that Jimmy died to in winter.
SecretHumorMan opting to grab the treehouse Jiggy and fall. A little bit of a time loss, but prevents you from falling down, potentially.
Alright, so coming up right here for Arb is the winter clips. If you, in flight, go up against certain walls and floors that have weak seams, you can, at certain angles, beak bomb through and just clip out of bounds. So we're going to be using that here to fly into Naughty's house, to grab this honeycomb in flight, and then do another clip to go out of bounds and void out. Which Arb gets both of them.
Wow, good job.
Goes through. This skips having to swim over to go to Naughty's house, and then swim all the way back out. Saving like 40 seconds.
So now, probably the most unique and interesting trick of this run, what we like to call the soft lock flower glitch. If you re-enter spring, for some reason you're still allowed to poop eggs into the flower and grow it. However, if you spawn the Jiggy in spring, the game doesn't know what to do because it's expecting a cutscene from Gobi. So normally, it would transfer control back to Banjo, but here it doesn't know what to do, so it soft locks. But, like I explained earlier in the run, if you get damaged during certain cutscenes, you're allowed to move, and you're freed up. And this is one of those cutscenes. So Arb is going to try to get damaged during this cutscene by these bees from the beehive, and make his way with the camera locked, can't see where he's going, over to Mumbo's hut, which will reverse the soft lock. And the only way to do this is by memorizing your movement.
And he gets it. Very nice.
Great job from him to show off that trick in the tournament. And he does not get washing machine or T-Rex throughout his whole run.
It is a soft lock if you did not get hit by those bees. So that's why it's called the soft lock strat.
And in this instance, soft lock means that the game is still running, but you can't do anything. A hard lock would mean that the game just simply crashed. And Arb using the speed of the bee to just clip out of bounds there, out of the beehive, and he's done with Click Clock Wood and heading over to Furnace Fun. So he's got quite a bit of a lead here. As long as he doesn't die in Furnace Fun or Grunty, I think Arb has got this race probably in the bag.
You are unable
still
to
with the potential to PB though, so hopefully he can still do that.
Taking damage in a cutscene does not damage you, so you can't actually die to those bees. The only way to get out of that camera lock is go through a loading zone.
Well, to clarify, like if you had 1 health and then you got hit by those bees while the flower is growing, you would die. But once the screen goes to that locked position, you can't take damage. For perspective, how much time does that save? It's about 20 seconds. It skips having to hit Gobi, but then Spring 2 is a bit longer. Optimally, it's like 28 seconds or something like that if you're just about perfect.
Here's the first Scrunny square, and he gets it right. There's multiple different types of squares on the Furnace Fun board. There's the BK face square, the blue ones, which are general trivia. There's the picture questions. Then there's sound questions. And then there are Joker questions, which give you the Joker cards that let you skip squares. There's the Grunny questions, which are Grunny trivia. And then there are minigame squares, which we will be skipping all of them with the Joker cards. And then there are death squares, which are the ones with the skulls on them, where if you answer them incorrectly, you will be thrown in a direction off the board. And the death squares and Joker squares can be questions from any of the squares.
However, there are 2 death squares on the board that actually can fling you back onto the board when you die, when you
if you're in a certain spot on them.
Yep, and then Arb was actually the one that found that originally on accident. And what happens when you get flung back onto the board is the invisible walls disappear, and you can simply walk to the end, skip the fake credits, and head straight into the top of the lair.
SecretHumorMan here, not doing the winter clips. So you'll have to do ice clip. Hashtag never forget. Got ice clip. Easy.
So now Arb's gonna answer this wrong on purpose And he's too high, so he has to do Furnace Fun again. Very unfortunate. I was wondering if that was going to be a little bit too high, and it certainly was. He needed to be just a tiny bit farther down. Ooh, SecretHumorMan almost falls. Oh, okay. Alright, he made it. Him doing Furnace Fun a second time is a big time loss, but he probably has his pattern at this for Grunty Question, so he doesn't have to worry about that as much.
SecretHumorMan entering the room that Jimmy died to in winter.
Guess he didn't need that token? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you fell there on accident or not. So Arb's got to get it this time, or else SecretHumorMan could catch up and potentially win the race. And as you can see, SecretHumorMan saves some time in Spring 2 by not having to do any of that flower stuff. So transforms into the bee, and he's just got to get the last Jinjos and Jiggy, and he's on to Furnace Fun as well.
Arb has a 208, and SecretHumorMan currently has a 217 for their PBs. There we go.
So Arb made it that time.
Arb now opening the final door to Grunty. While SecretHumorMan's just entering Furnace Fun.
Oh, I just realized that SecretHumorMan hasn't been running against his PB splits this whole time. Not sure what he's been running against, but he is on PB pace, as long as he doesn't mess up Furnace Fun or Grunty. So Arb has to shoot Grunty with 3 eggs on each side of the arena here, and followed by a beak bomb section, where he'll have to land 4 beak bombs, and pretty difficult because if you mess it up on the first one, it kind of throws everything else off. So let's see how he does here. Needs to really get this first beak bomb to make everything go smoothly here. Gets it. He's kind of flying in a weird direction, but he hits the second one. Third, and then the fourth one should be pretty free. And now this Jinjo statue is going to appear here by the gold feather in the distance, and Arb is going to try to poop eggs at the right time and place in order to get them during the cutscene, and just barely misses it with the egg bounces. Arb does a pretty good job at shooting the eggs into the little Jinjo statues, and now he's just gotta shoot 20 eggs into Jinjonator, and he is finished. SecretHumorMan coming up on Furnace Fun Skip.
Arb coming up. He's just about to finish.
Alright.
He's gotta shoot 5 eggs into each side of Jinjonator here.
Setchem, you got this. Oh, he got a grunny question
Oh.
on... Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, he got it.
there we go. Nice.
That's where, unfortunately, you can kind of get screwed if you
And
get a
Arb
grunny
finishes.
question. And Arb has a 2:12.11. Really close to, would have been really close to his PB if he didn't get that skip wrong there, but
Yeah, because
ends up moving on to
has-
face Civity Bobo.
PB has like a minute to save on run.
SecretHumorMan heading into the grunny fight.
But it wasn't too far behind Arb in this race. Both of them had great runs.
Arb just doing a lot more of the little things that save time. Really, SecretHumorMan with no major mistakes other than falling off the snowman in FP. That was one of the biggest things that happened. But besides that, pretty clean run. See if he can clutch it out at this grunny fight for a PB here. A little bit off on these beak bombs, but he got it. Oof. Oh, I'm spoiling things. I was looking at SecretHumorMan's stream. Oops.
Wow. Spoilers. World record is currently at 2:03.12, I think.
Yep. Second one. Okay,
Nice speak bomb.
beak bombs are done. He got hit,
That's it.
but that's okay. See if he gets this Jinjo skip. That could work. And he got it.
He got it.
So that saves about 10 seconds over what Arb did. Ooh, taking some damage here. Now, if he gets right underneath Grunty and jumps, the Jinja will hit her immediately rather than having to wait for a few seconds. And as long as SecretHumorMan doesn't get hit here, he should get a PB.
Taking a few hits.
Oof.
Come on. And
Okay.
he gets
And
it!
he finished with a 2:16.29. That's about a 40-second PB or so for him. So good job to Secret.
Even though he didn't win, he got a nice hot PB. So, really proud of him.
He bopped you.
No.
That puts SecretHumorMan into top 20, actually. 20th place. Good job to both of these guys. Arb will move on to face Stivity Bobo in the semifinals, and we have one more match, Haganator versus King KC, to determine who goes against Dickuscon in the semifinals on the other side of the bracket. Hey, what's up, Arb?
Hi.
Hey. Congratulations.
Dude,
Hey, thank you.
I saw that Furnace Fun skip, and I was like, I think that might be a little bit too high.
I didn't think it could fail like that. Oh.
Hello?
Hey.
Hi.
Hey,
Congratulations to both
thank
of you.
you.
Perhaps.
Yeah, it was a fun race.
Yeah.
That was a weird thing that happened on the Snowman. And
What were you saying?
for you, that was kind of like a weird sequence of events that happened on the after the Snowman's hat.
Oh yeah, I was jumping off the hat to like get to the fight pad, but I guess I jumped like way too far to the right, so I was like, okay, what are we gonna do here? And I knew sliding down that I only had like 3 health, so I was like, okay, I really gotta time this flutter so that I don't die from like falling off the snowman. And then I don't know why I didn't just like jump up the hill. I think I was like pretty frazzled.
Yeah.
I think I could have just jumped up the hill in Talon Trot, but instead I just went over to the flight pad for some reason. So yeah, pretty
Got
good
that
though.
extra token though.
Yeah, got the extra
Yeah.
token, so I didn't have to grab the one at the end of winter. And yeah, I don't know, pretty decent. Obviously, still have like major time saves everywhere, but yeah, I can't.
Imagine if you
can't
did all the
hate a
faster
30
routes
second.
and all the levels.
I know exactly, but I think that me choosing to do a lot of safe stuff is kind of a testament to how low you can actually push this game, just movement wise, and I think that's something that newer runners should learn first. Is just kind of like the movement mechanics versus focusing on tricks and resetting to get tricks right. So I like pushing my time down without certain strats, but yeah, it's definitely time to improve and get better.
Yeah, your Gobies was pretty good, I believe, for your.
Yeah, my Gobies and my Autumn were both gold splits.
Did you have any golds in your run, Arb?
Winter.
Hell yeah.
And that was a nice winner.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
you had a solid winner.
Yeah, I had a 25-second Gobies gold split. I really don't know like what I did differently. I guess nothing really went bad.
Nothing
but
went wrong. It's
I
just-
don't know.
that's what
Yeah, it
happened.
just was time save out of nowhere, and that's when I was like, well, maybe this run could still PB.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
And,
good run, and Arb's gonna be facing Stiv, so good luck with that.
Oh boy.
And Arb, you got hit by the bees really late on that soft lock setup, but you still managed to do it.
Yeah, I just knew to turn earlier, so.
So, good race.
Indeed.
Yeah, good race. I mean, I can't say that I expected to win, and I mean, I don't think I could have exited this tournament in a better way with another PB. This is actually my second race PB in a row in terms of the tournament. I had a 20-second PB against Mooseman, and then my next match against Arb, I had another 30-second PB. So feels pretty good, and good luck to Arb as he
You're in top 20 now.
progresses. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I think I'm out. So thanks for letting me commentate.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. Thanks for the race.
Thanks.
See y'all.
Later.
Later.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching the tournament race. See you guys all next time.